At long last, Idiots Talk Sports are back. Speaking to our 3 subscribers. Pretty big news for us. Eric is back in South Florida, Toronto South, from Missouri. How you doing, Eric?
That's correct. I'm doing good. Happy to be back.
Down here for what?
Couple weeks, give or take.
Why'd you come down?
To shoot the podcast.
That's
Why
not
else?
true. You can't. Jury duty. You got summoned.
That's true. That's the real reason.
He got summoned, but he might as well make a vacation out of it.
Did not have to go in, so all good things.
He drove 500 miles, called it a vacation, but didn't have to.
Try 1,200 miles.
It's 1,200 miles.
That's the distance from St. Louis to Florida.
Gotta
Florida.
get your residency changed back to St. Louis so that doesn't happen again. But you're probably good for another 2.5 years on the jury duty thing. But anyways,
enough about that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Pacific Division today, the most confusing of all the divisions. It's not even close. I mean, last year it was Sharks,
Calgary,
and really nobody else.
Yeah, I mean
Vegas.
Edmonton was middle of the pack, I'd say.
Yeah, and Vancouver was terrible. I mean, that was kind of a big rebuilding year for them.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, Vegas is. We'll get into Vegas a little bit later, but I've got a big sell on Vegas. I'm not really a fan. They got Mark Stone, a couple of the big names, but Arizona was having a rough year. Obviously, last year Anaheim, god awful year.
Yeah,
looked like they were never going to win a game again.
Yeah, Kings are doing what we thought the Kings would do, just not doing good.
Yeah, terrible.
Yet again,
And this year it is absolutely bizarro world. Edmonton, first overall, 24 points. Calgary, 22. Vancouver, 21. Vegas 21, Arizona 20 points, Anaheim 19 points, San Jose 13 points.
That's the big surprise, obviously. San Jose
rough.
being second to last in the division.
And Drew Doughty's LA Kings 11 points in 16 games. Also not very good. We're going to start out with first place overall, Edmonton. You've got the big dogs doing the big dog things. 30 points in 18 games for Draisaitl.
Yeah, good thing for Edmonton, I guess they did pick up a little depth scoring with James Neal. Who would have thought? I mean, the dude's terrifying around the net on a power play. Cassian, what has he got there? 4 goals. So, obviously, yeah, Draisaitl, McDavid doing what everybody knew they were going to do. If
you put anybody on the wing with Connor and Draisaitl, they're going to score 10 points in 18 games. I like Zach Cassian. I'm not a – but – we had some text conversations. McDavid has definitely given him a couple of those dust-free dishes that he just bobbles sometimes. I mean, that's a Cassian play, but I mean he is a hell of a player. But Neal doesn't bobble those.
No, Neal's a finisher. Neal finishes around the net. Well, how many goals did Neal have last year? Like
6.
6 goals.
6 or 7.
He's got 12. Already
through 18 games,
14 points, 12 of which are goals. I wonder how many of those are power play. Does it say? I think it says right there, doesn't it? Power play.
We're kind of
PPG.
scrolling through.
It did. Go back up. James
power play
Neal
points. 8 power play goals.
So 8 of his 12. 2/3 of his goals come on the power play, which is not bad. I mean,
I said, and it's probably not going to happen. But the hot take is that James Neal scores 40 this year. If you put him on a power play with Connor and Leon, anything is possible.
The thing is, though, if you would have said that at the beginning of the year, it's easier to say now when he has 12 goals in 15, 16 games.
I 100% agree. I'm not the Nostradamus of hockey, that's for sure. I think 30 is definitely in sight, but, I mean, something like 40 could happen.
It'll be interesting to see if Draisaitl continues. I mean, the dude can finish the play.
He got 50 last year. I mean, the list of guys to get 50 in the last – he got 50 goals last year. And he missed out on the Rocket chart by 1. Ovi won it with 51. So if Ovi wasn't being Ovi last year, and he is again this year, then Leon Draisaitl is your latest Rocket Richard winner. So does he do 50 again? He could.
It's looking like he's going to.
I think, again, anytime you're skating with Connor McDavid out there, the guy still, I mean, he didn't skate all summer. Like, he was nursing an injury. And to see how he looks right now, how's he going to look in 30 games?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Alex Chason just scored his first goal. That is a huge disappointment.
So aside from these guys we just mentioned, where does their other scoring come from?
That's the problem.
Nugent Hopkins has what, 2? 1, 2?
11 points in 18 games. He's never really been
One
a goal
goal.
guy. He's a setup guy.
Yeah, but still, you want to see him have 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range by now, I would think.
You'd like him to have probably a couple more. And that's the thing. Look at the goals. So 14 Draisaitl, 8 for McDavid, 12 for Neal. The next is 4 with Cassian. Like, when Zach Cassian is your 4th highest goal getter, that's a problem. Probably
Ethan Bears looks pretty good.
Ethan
young
Bears,
kid.
he's been terrific for them so far. And spent a lot of time in the minors, I think.
So what do you do? Do you buy or sell this team? Do they get in the playoffs? Do they not?
Well, I was talking a big game before the podcast. I have to buy on the Oilers. I think Dave Tippett is a heck of a coach and is going to, as they said on Spit and Chicklets, Bissonnette said he squeezed blood out of a rock in Arizona, and I think that is a big that's very indicative of what he's doing now. Now, are they going to lose some games? Yeah, but I don't think that right now when you look at the Pacific Division, are they good for third best? I mean, probably.
Well, in my opinion, the Pacific is the weakest division.
It seems like it, doesn't it? I mean, and when you have a team like Arizona competing for a playoff spot, I think Edmonton's better than Arizona. I think any team with Connor McDavid, I mean, you really don't need much else. Now,
problem is though, you get to the playoffs, you need depth.
That's
been
true.
proven time and time again.
They're not going to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, that's no time soon. I don't think. But I mean, you look at Adam Larson, 1 game played, he's been hurt.
Yeah.
So when he comes back, you like to think that they shore up defense a little bit. And that's the thing. The Oilers can trap you to death. Like, they don't have to play a 6-5 shootout every night. I mean, they can play that.
What about the goaltending? You and I had some conflicting points of view.
I think Mike Smith is an absolute competitor. I think he's a heck of a pro.
I think he's a competitor. I just feel like I've seen a lot of games so far this year where he could have made more saves than he made.
Now, this could be a hockey guy comment on Binnington. His best hockey could be behind him. I think when the hockey guy said that Binnington wasn't an NHL goaltender and then he wins the cup that year, so me saying Mike Smith's best hockey could be behind him and then he wins the Vezina this year. Like, I mean, who knows? Hockey is bizarre.
Well, and I feel like Koskinen's so shaky.
Yeah,
at the same time.
That's the one that I don't get. They signed him to a big old ticket. I don't remember what his contract. I think he's making like $6-something million or something crazy. He played like 30 games, and Chiarelli's like, give him money. It's
so
like,
buy, sell. You're gonna buy.
I buy.
My initial thought was to sell, but if we're just talking about making playoffs, I do think they're gonna make the playoffs this year.
Barring an injury to Connor or Draisaitl.
Yeah.
If those guys stay healthy, I mean, they got to be a lock.
So moving on, 2 buys. All right, moving on to Calgary. No, we say Calgary. We're not from.
We're from Florida. Yeah,
so, Calgary Flames.
Missouri and Florida. No, I don't want to say I like this team. I like Matt Tkachuk. I think Matt Tkachuk is your captain.
I'm just going back to what they did last year. Yeah. They looked so good all year.
But they got absolutely smothered by Colorado.
They did.
I mean, that was a tough outing in the playoffs.
But again, we're just talking about making playoffs.
Well, let's break.
It's
break
early.
Down the stats.
We're what? I mean, we're 19 games in.
Tkachuk is at a point a game pace. You got Elias Lindholm, 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 through 19. Gaudreau hasn't. It doesn't seem like he's got going yet. 5 goals, 19 games, 17 points. I mean, his playmaking ability is obviously
I'd like to go back and look at Gaudreau's points last year because I want to say they were way up. They were away from his normal point totals.
We can do that.
I want to say he had a really good point year.
So rookie season, 24-40 for 64 points. 70. His next season, 30-48 for 78. Following season, down year, 18-43 for 61. 24-60 for 84, and last season 99 points.
Yeah, one shy of 100.
But this looks good. This looks like a good progression.
What looks really good about that is he played all 82 games last season. The first time he's played all 82 in his career.
And you got to think when he signed that contract at the end of 16-17, he was coming off that 61-point year. He scored 84 the next year. That's promising. Well, when you produce after signing a big ticket like that, and then 99 points, so. Obviously, I think they've got to expect some pretty big numbers out of Johnny this year.
He's still almost a point-per-game player, though. Yeah. He's on his career pace with 17 points in 19 games.
I'm calling him below average. He's got a point a game.
Yeah.
So Again, his playmaking is next level, but you want to see him tuck 30 this year.
Calgary just seems so rounded. When you look up and down their lineup, it's hard to find. I'd like to know what their holes are. I don't watch them enough to really know a whole lot about their game, but just looking up at their lineup, I mean, where is the holes? What's their third?
A lot of contributors.
Yeah.
It looks a lot different than the Edmonton page here.
Yeah, it does.
Where you've got 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, and 3 points, and you've got 12, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5. Like a lot of guys.
They could, one of their top guys could get injured, and they could still make it. Like it would hurt them, but not like it would hurt Edmonton if Draisaitl or McDavid were out.
100%. And there's a couple of like the Milan Lucic deal. I mean, I don't know. I think I understand why Calgary couldn't utilize James Neal. You couldn't have fit him in on the top 6 because who are you pulling out of that top 6?
And James Neal is still a top 6.
James Neal needs to be in a top 6. So I understand the Neal for Lucic, but how do you not need something else other than Lucic?
Yeah.
I mean, Neal was worth Lucic in a prospect.
Did they get a prospect
Nothing.
or a draft
One
pick
for
or anything?
one.
1 for 1.
So, I mean, that was not a fair deal. Lucic, a -4, 3 points in 17 games. I say this as a Cheeto sniffing cake eater. But, I mean, you can't look at that deal and say that was a great one. I mean, he added a little bit of grunt to that. But you have Matt Tkachuk.
And guys, these are just our free-flowing thoughts. Feel free to disagree. The 7 viewers we do get, feel free to rake us over the coals if need be.
If this gets 6 views and 5 of you hated it, if it gets 6 views and 8 people hated it, I mean, it is what it is. We're obviously not pros. I mean, this is just.
But what do you do here? Do you buy? You sell? I'm buying. I'm gonna buy them.
I think they're a lock for the playoffs. I mean, I do think that that they have some shaky performances sometimes, but with guys like Matt Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, Giordano, like there's
it's easier.
The goaltending is the question.
Yeah.
Riddick and Talbot. People. I remember people talking about Talbot when he played on the Rangers. It's like, yeah, but he's backs up in Henrik Lundqvist.
Right.
Like it's when you have a guy like that. I mean, I've never seen Talbot as a number one.
He's just too shaky all the time.
Yeah, I mean, he very rarely has major stretches of time where he is playing number one style hockey, and that's let's see what his stats are this year. Let's see, Riddick, 15 games played. Obviously, they're number one right now. 274 with a 915. Good stat. I mean, Riddick's playing, I guess, a lot better hockey than I guessed he was. Because 274 with a 915 is not bad.
But that's what, league average, I would say?
915 is above average.
A little bit, okay.
I'd say like a 905, 907 is probably league average. And Talbot with an 899. I mean, I think Talbot's a 900 goaltender. But we're going to get to the other... The San Jose Sharks' famous subpar 900 goaltender. But moving right along, I think Calgary, I'm buying. I mean, of course, I think they're going to make the playoffs, but I might buy 6 teams on this list.
It's easier for me to buy Calgary than Edmonton.
Yeah,
I'll say
100%,
that.
100%. All right, we're going to move along. Vancouver
and
Canucks.
This team is easier for me to buy than Edmonton as well. I know you and I have a little conflicting point of view on this team.
We'll get into it. So,
all right.
Pettersson, 21 points, 17 games. Just lighting it on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all expect that from him now. And I hate people that say Peterson. It's probably Pettersson, okay? But at least say Pettersson, you animal. It's not Peterson. He's from Sweden. But let's see what he did in his first year. Why does it not have that? Let's see. Yeah, last year,
upper 60s, I think?
66 point, 28 goals, 38 assists. And, dude, his goals are
He won the Calder, did he not? Top rookie?
I think so.
I think he did.
His highlights are – his shot is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
he put some torque.
And speaking of an unbelievable shot, Brock Besser, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 2 incredible top line. And Brock Besser, I don't think he's got it going right now. I mean, a point a game, but 7 goals. Apparently, he had I don't know if he had a shaky start, but I don't think he had a lot of points up until recently. He started kind of putting them away. But I hated the JT Miller signing, by the way, but point a game so far. So what the hell do I mean?
Yeah. I mean, when you watch Vancouver, they're fast, they're young.
Yeah.
They've seemed to be working well together. I mean, to me, they look scary.
Great captain.
They haven't had hardly any blowouts. Their
Yeah.
games, they've lost a lot of one-goal games from what I've seen so far. Again, I don't follow them that close, but
I'm a big fan of Bo Horvat. I think his development has been really cool to watch. Like I remember, I don't know who he got. I think they traded Luongo to draft Horvat. I think that's like the trade-off, or the draft pick that they got for Luongo became Bo Horvat or something like that. But his development, I mean, he wasn't I don't know if you'd say he wasn't panning out. He was just really young. And now, I mean, what a leader that guy is. And, I mean, right now he's a -8, which does not look good. But I think that's,
Quinn Hughes looking strong.
Quinn Hughes looks
looking
so good.
real good.
Quinn Hughes looks so good out there, and a very dynamic defender. 11 points in 16 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's looking real good.
Yes.
He really is. He's looking really good.
You want to see more from guys like Jake Virtanen.
But I think we will. I don't, Tyler Myers.
Jay Beagle, the Beagler. So I didn't know that he'd played every game. I thought he was injured. So 3 points through 17. I mean, maybe that's what Jay Beagle's been expected to do.
What's going on with Tanev's injury? I mean, does anybody know after that took that line A shot to the knee?
And what was that last night or 2 nights ago?
I think it was last night.
Last night he blocks a shot from line A and is in absolute agony on the bench.
It looks so painful.
And Tanev is pretty much their number one defender. I mean, I guess Myers. But Tanev is that number one shutdown guy that they have, even if he's in that 3-4 role.
And again, they have more depth than a team like Edmonton.
I know, but buy or sell?
I'm buying.
I'm selling.
I'm buying them. What about goaltending? We didn't talk about goaltending.
Markstrom has been standing on his head, okay. So this goaltending looks unbelievable right now. Markstrom through 11 games is a 2.5 with a 9.17, and Demko with 5 games, 6 games played. Has a 9.33 with a 1.99. So this is what I'm selling. I don't think that these guys keep those numbers up. Again, I don't know anything, but it just doesn't seem like either one of those guys is going to finish the year with above 9.15. Demko has been labeled the goalie of the future for a couple years now.
But I will say it's promising that they're both looking so good.
That's true.
So if one does fall off, hopefully the other one continues to play like they're playing, so. And
Markstrom, I will say, has been, the thing is when you watch him, he's been standing on his head. That St. Louis game the other night with that 3-0 overtime goal, you could see how angry he was because he is that competitive. He kept them in that game all game long, and then they reward him.
Really just unfortunate for Vancouver.
They reward him with the 3-0 in overtime. I mean, what are you going to do?
All right, so moving right along.
Sell on the Vancouver.
This is another hard one here for me.
Vegas.
Man, Vegas is such a tough one.
I try to watch as little Vegas hockey as possible, but I mean,
obviously they overshot a little bit in their first season. I mean, they played great. Nothing, hats off to them, but they're kind of leveling out, and we're seeing the kind of team they're going to be.
Well, I'm not a big fan of the Vegas. I think that going to the Cup final in your first year probably does something to your...
Spoils you a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe, I remember how angry Marchessault was about the San Jose call last year.
Yeah.
And he was just like, that's bull. It's like, okay, but you got to make a save.
Yeah.
An unfortunate call happened, but Fleury let in 3, and then you tie it up and you go to overtime. Was it 3 or 4? I don't know. It was a lot of goals. On that 5-minute, but I just remember how he wasn't humble at all, and I think that's one of the beautiful parts about hockey is so much of the talent is so humble, and that is what makes it the best sport on earth. Is not I think there's a lot of talk nowadays about we need to have more personality in the game, but that leads to a lot of big-headed me and I and I'm gonna go out there. It's hockey doesn't need that. Hockey needs we. Marchessault should have been mad at himself. Mm-hmm. We should have been better. We should have been able to get a clear for Fleury. But I'm not going to pile on Marchessault. He's a hell of a player. And they have Mark Stone. How did they afford Mark Stone?
Yeah. Well, but here, that's what worries me a little bit with Vegas is Mark Stone's a great player, no doubt, great player. But when he's your top guy, your number one producer, that's what scares me a little bit.
He's not known for. He's never going to have a 40-goal campaign.
Well, and that's the thing. And I mean, like I say, he looks great out there. I mean, Mark Stone's always been a really good player. But if he was like your third most offensive producing player, I think Vegas is a lot scarier. The fact that he's your number one top producer worries me a little bit.
Yeah, and I think people look back to that William Karlsson 40. And by the way, and I don't want to just gloss over Mark Stone. It's what he does on the defensive side of the puck. It's how good of I think he led in takeaways last year.
Yeah, he's so well-rounded.
I mean, so he plays the game the right way, but you're right. Like you can't depend on him for 80 points.
That's the thing. To depend on him to be your top producer is worrisome.
He's a realistically a 60-point guy who's going to have a good-looking, hopefully a good-looking plus-minus at the end of the year. I mean, right now he's -4, but it's early. It's
and
not
this
too much to worry
team's
about.
funny because, like, upon initial glance, you want to say they have depth, but then once you get past, like, their top 4 or 5 guys,
their top 2 lines,
it does seem to fizzle out pretty drastically.
Yeah, and look, Max Pacioretty is another. This is one of those teams that keeps adding people, and you're like, how are they under the cap? It does not make sense to me. I don't know what Marchessault's making, but I'm sure I wish we could go on. Of course, we can go on cap friendly, but Marchessault's one of those guys I think who's going to want a lot of money when it comes time to sign another contract, and that is
well, and I think Marchessault overproduced when they went so deep their first years. Well, I remember watching him on Florida. Granted, he wasn't there very long, and
he was on Tampa before then. And I remember how fast he was.
He was fast, but like I don't think his point totals were ever anywhere near what they were. His first year in Vegas.
So Tampa,
not even close.
18 points in 45 games was his really standout season there. Florida, 30 goals in 75. Florida said, "Very cool. You can have him, Vegas, only if you take Riley Smith." Vegas was like, "Thanks for coming. Appreciate having." But
look at the point. So in Florida, the year before he came to Vegas, he played 75 games and he had 51 points. Then he came over to Vegas. He played 77, so 2 more games, but had 24 more points at 75.
Assists. And this number is from William Karlsson scoring 40 goals.
Yeah,
that's what that big assist number's for. I mean, I don't know how many of those were directly to him, but you got to think 15 or 20.
Yeah.
Vegas, and then last year, 82 games, 25, 34, 59. That's probably where he is. Again, a 60-point, career guy. So you're right.
But that's what I mean. So Vegas does have, maybe 3, 4, 50 to 65 point guys. But where does it go from there? Is my worry with them.
I'm a huge fan of Nate Schmidt. I think he's injured right now. I wish I knew that for sure. But 5 games played, 2 points. I've got a little conspiracy theory about Nate Schmidt. You remember he popped hot last year, tested for steroids? Well, the league also suspended another guy on the Vegas Golden Knights for steroids, #SteroidGate in Vegas. But so Nate Schmidt went to arbitration for his contract the year before last, the year he got popped, and they awarded him like $2.5 million more than Vegas was going to sign him for. And then he got popped for steroids, 20 games without pay. Vegas didn't have to pay him. I think they gave him something, and then when the league came poking around, then they didn't have to pay Nate
Problem
Schmidt.
is, you'll never know something like that.
But to see all the scumbag moves that they've done so far with like the season ticket holders, like if you don't go to every game, then they don't want you anymore, paying $400 a ticket for the game. I mean, to me, I'm not a big fan of Vegas.
They got spoiled their first season. Yeah. Again, all this stems from, I think, the first season they had. And they had a great second season, too. I mean, this is nothing.
They're a bit of an entitled team.
Yes.
It seems.
Yes.
And that's why I am selling on the Vegas Golden Knights.
My whole thing is I feel like I had to either pick Vancouver or Vegas.
Yeah.
I've bought every team so far.
Yeah.
So, again, this is close. Again, Vegas is such a close one because they very well may make the playoffs, but I have to sell only because I bought Vancouver.
And with
that's
that
kind of
said,
my thinking on this.
We totally glossed over. Marc-Andre Fleury, again, tremendous goalie, 924 through 14 games.
Yeah, goaltending's not an issue with Vegas. And that's where, they may lack third and fourth line depth, but you got Marc-Andre Fleury in net.
Yeah.
So...
But selling, we're not fans of the Vegas Golden Knights. We're moving right along. A team that I'm a fan of, Arizona Coyotes. These guys, they're not as we're looking here. It doesn't look like they're blowing you away with individual point efforts. But look at that depth. I mean, we're pretty down, far down on that chart there, and you've just got a lot of contributors. Not a lot of guys for burning it down with 15, 20 points. Nick Schmaltz is leading the team, 14 points through 16 games. Connor Garland. Like, I don't know where he came from, but I remember him scoring a bunch of goals last year for how many games he played. He's a small guy. 47 games played, 13 goals. I mean, as a rookie, on pace for 25.
Low to mid-20s, yeah.
I mean, that's not bad. So, Connor Garland,
anytime
looks good.
You can get almost 30 goals or more, you're a scorer. You're a goal scorer in the NHL.
It's so hard
at that point. So
Phil, you got to think Phil Kessel's going to turn it on and score 30
and
this
that's
year.
the thing. Only 3 goals so far for Phil Kessel. That's surprisingly low. And same thing with Clayton Keller. I was praising this kid a lot, and he looks great, but I want him to have, I want him to be a point per game guy. Like, I think he could be.
He signed a big ticket. He kind of has to be.
Yeah. I just want to see him do a little bit more.
His first full year, 82 games, 65
Yeah,
points.
and see, he dropped off last year.
Yeah, and that is a little worrisome, isn't it? You got to think that's a little worrisome. But the thing is, with the Coyotes, when you watch them, they trap. But they do have the Kessel, the Keller, the Nick Schmaltz.
They've gotten,
Nick Schmaltz is an incredible
and I didn't realize
player.
It picked up Soderberg. And look at that, 5 goals. Nobody knows about Carl Soderberg, but I remember watching the Avalanche play back before they had depth a season or two ago.
Yeah.
And Soderberg, I think, was on their second line. He was the only one past their first line that could consistently score goals. So, that guy, he'll surprise you.
And he's huge, too.
But again,
Absolute
I don't
unit.
know. When I look at their roster, I don't know. It's
So Soderberg with 23 goals, the last year in Colorado there, that was literally last season. But no, I think they play a very tight game under Tocchet, and you have to think that some of their top end talent is going to turn it on a little more, and they're winning games right now. I mean, they're winning games right now.
They're definitely not a top-heavy team.
They're not a top-heavy team, but I think that they're good enough to make the playoffs. That is my final buy for the Pacific Division. That's 3 buys. And, them over Vancouver, I understand that is a tough – that's a tough
Well,
set.
and that's the thing. The argument could be made you should pick Vegas over both these teams,
That's
too.
true.
It's like these 3 guys have a hard time with, but, man
the stats don't look great. Let's look at the goaltending. Darcy Kemper having an unreal season. 937 with a 182. That is what they call standing on his head.
And Ranta's looking good again, too.
Ranta is a phenomenal goaltender.
Wasn't he injured over half the season last year?
And I don't think he's 100% yet. I think there's been kind of some buzz about that he's still kind of nursing some things. A 3-1, 2 goals against is not great, but a 9-12.
He was one of the best goalies in the whole league 2 seasons ago.
Unbelievable year. Let's look that year up, because was that the year he got hurt or the year before?
He got hurt beginning of last year, I believe.
So, 47 games played, a 930 that year.
And 47 games played. That's crazy.
And I remember he didn't even get the nomination for the Vezina. He was I'm pretty sure he had the best statistical season.
And that's my worry with this team, though. As good as he did, they still didn't even come close to making playoffs.
The thing is, though, is when I look at these 2 goalies, I'm buying these 2 over the Canucks, too. Even though they're very similar, I think that Ranta is they're at the end of the day, these are both veterans. They've both played. They both have, let's see how many games played Darcy Kemper has. 200 games. That's not an incredible sample size. But Ranta's got, 158 games. I'm wrong there again. You like to think that these 2 are gonna hold it together a little bit better.
I have to disagree with you in terms of buy or sell. I gotta sell them.
He's selling the Coyotes.
Again, it's close. Now,
no, I get it.
It's I feel like I've said that about every team so far, and that's how I feel about every team so far.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna get into a few teams that I don't feel that way on. I think it's pretty clear, when you watch them play.
Moving along, it's the Anaheim Ducks now. Led by Jakob Silverberg, 13 points in 17. Ryan Getzlaff, the Bold Wonder, 17 games played, 11 points. Adam Henrique, Ricard Raquel, Hampus Lindholm, Cam Fowler, who's unreal. I'm a fan of Cam Fowler.
Anaheim's such a funny team because they always seem to be a pretty hard team to play against, but they just never. I don't know. They're a hard team to play against, but not hard enough.
Well, I think John Gibson is a terrific goaltender. What a beautiful American tandem there. Ryan Miller, John Gibson. That is a nice little USA combo there. A 9.25 for Ryan Miller and a 9.23 for John Gibson. I like their goaltending core, but I don't know that they're ready to make that playoff push. I mean, not having Getzlaf and Perry in their prime is
well, and that's the thing. Their top end talent is aging.
Yeah,
and that's always scary. In the NHL.
They have, the Ricard Raquels, the Jakob Silver. Yeah. They're probably...
Raquel's a hell of a player.
He is.
He is really good. I mean, he looks so good out there.
I think they're close.
But again, I just don't think they get it done. I think they're close. Like I said, they're a tough team to play against, but I just don't... I guess you just don't see Anaheim get blown out all that often. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I mean, when I say they're a hard team to play against, yeah, they always seem to be in the game.
And the good news is they're doing a lot better this year than they were last year.
Wait, what happened to Michael Delzato?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's.
Because I remember he had so much promise, and he's not that. What is he? He's 29 now. Okay. Where was his New York years? Let's see.
41 points with the Rangers in 2011.
He just kind of dropped off. He had a 32 for Philly.
2014-15.
Yeah, it looks like he's been injury plagued or just been healthy scratch. He hasn't played many games.
Yeah, in his last
ever
1, 2, 3.
Look at his whole. He must have been one of these guys that suffered from injuries throughout his whole career.
Well, last year on the Blues, where did he ended with the Blues, didn't he? I mean, he was on the ice for the cup raising.
I think they dished him out right before playoffs. I want to say, I believe. I could be wrong.
I remember him on the ice. Who knows?
He only played 7 games.
Yeah,
for St. Louis.
At the end and I guess he's playing this year, which is good for him. I mean, he's 13 games played so far. I think, again, they've got some really good young guys. Josh Manson on defense is a heck of a young talent.
But you need the young guys that are ready to replace the aging veteran talent. And right now they're not ready.
Max Jones is a guy that I was excited for a couple years ago. Big, thick kid, absolute unit. But 13 games, played 1 point. I mean, you'd like to see him do a little more than that, because I remember he was like a promising rookie, but last year 30 games, played 5 points.
All right, well, this is starting to get long. Let's make our buy or sell.
Yeah, sell the Ducks.
I'm gonna sell them as well.
And this is the one we're probably gonna take the most time with, the San Jose Sharks.
Well, this is just such a surprise.
So disappointed
because, and this is funny, we're basing this all off. We've seen each of these teams play, I don't know, anywhere from 3 games up to 9 games probably for each one of these teams we've talked about. So we're judging a lot of this based off what we see, how the roster looks as well. And when you look at the Sharks roster, it's stacked.
Yeah,
it's stacked. So our buy sell may be way off, because if you would see this roster, you would definitely say buy.
Yeah, no question.
100%.
As
you see depth, you see veteran talent, young talent.
As we're scrolling down the points here. Hurdle 17, Burns 16, Vander Kane 15, 14, 11, 9, 8. Great producers, but now it's the goaltending.
Yeah,
it's the goaltending.
It's been the goaltending.
They don't have a 900 goaltender. You need a 950, a guy back there.
And how many games does that cost you to have the course of the season? 20 to 30, which is huge. 20 games.
Martin Jones is 4-7.
Let's not say 30. That's a little crazy. Let's say goaltending costs you 20 games. That's 40 points.
Yeah,
that's huge.
And look, here's the thing, Martin Jones. This is what Shannon, the hockey guy, talks about.
Well, I would just like to see the statistic of how many hockey games are won by 1 goal.
Yeah,
and then go back and look at the goaltending for San Jose.
Martin Jones, his first year in San Jose had a 9.18. Second year in San Jose had a 9.12. Third year in San Jose had a 9.15. That's where they need him. They need him there. San Jose was an absolute wagon. 30 wins, 35 wins, 37 wins.
Yeah, San Jose has not looked this bad in a long time.
So now, last year, he had an 896.
And again, they're not a bad team. That's so crazy. 896,
And this year he's got an 883.
And what's crazy is they still made it so deep last year.
I know. So this team could turn it around. And
they could.
I mean, that's important to note here is They could just absolutely pull it together. I mean, but the thing is, dude, you're paying Erik Karlsson, what, 11.5? That's too much money. Simply too much money.
Well, and like these younger guys, Meyer, LeBanc, they're studs. They're so good out there.
LeBanc hooked him up with that 1 year, $1 million this year. What are they going to pay him next year?
This team has such a good mix of talent. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Patty Marleau and Joe Thornton, even though, I mean, Marleau 8 through 13, Thornton 5 through 17. I said to you the other day, they don't look lost out there. They don't look like a couple 40-year-olds. They're still wheeling out there.
And let's not forget what St. Louis did. Last place in the whole league, in January, and then turn it around. So San Jose could definitely follow that same pattern.
I have a very tentative, soft buy for the Sharks. I think if Martin Jones re-evolves into a 900 goaltender, they're going to win some games.
Let's say he doesn't, and 25 more games go by. At what point do they start thinking about
a trade?
Yeah, like doing something about their goaltending situation.
You're going to have to trade like a Kevin LeBanc on that beautiful 1 year, $1 million. Hey, thanks for the deal.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure that came with hey, we got another contract sitting in a drawer with your name on it for 6.5, 7. You're going to have to trade one of these guys, for a goaltender because, and again, it sucks to pile on Martin Jones. You don't want to pile on Martin Jones. He's a heck of a pro, but he's got.
He could go elsewhere and just tear it up.
That's true.
That's the thing. I mean,
we've seen this happen before. I mean, who knew that Jordan Binnington would win a Stanley Cup? So
let me make. So I'm buy or sell again. I don't know. I'm gonna have one. I don't know.
No, that's
I don't know. I really don't.
I mean,
I don't know.
Very weak answer.
I just don't. You had a soft buy,
Soft
so
buy.
I'm gonna have a soft. I don't know.
Soft pass.
That's just. They're just too hard to call.
All right, the sale of all sales, the LA Kings.
Yeah.
What a terrible man! It's not a good time to be a Kings fan.
No, and I believe they're the second oldest team in the league, right behind Minnesota. I believe Minnesota is the oldest team, and I think LA is second.
Your top 4 point producers are Andrei Kopitar, Dustin Brown, Drew Doughty, and Ilya Kovalchuk, and nothing against any of those guys. Okay, they are either still top tier NHL talent or have been top tier NHL talent, but they're all 30 plus. I think Drew Doughty signed his deal at like 29. He's 29. And this is, I think, the first year of his $11 million deal.
What's Adrian Kempe done so far? He was looking so good a couple years ago. Let's see.
4 points in 16.
Yeah. Well, and same thing with Jeff Carter. You got to do more than 6 points in 16 games.
Yeah.
I know Jeff Carter's getting up there in age and everything, but like.
You got to think he's good for 25 this year, though. 25, 30.
Yeah.
He was a 40 goal. I mean, let's look at. I'm always blown away by Jeff Carter's career stats.
Jeff Carter used to just score so many goals. That 46 right there in that 1 year?
29, 46, 33, 36, a couple injury plays.
He's been around for a long time, since
Sure
05. So 15 years in the NHL. I mean, and he's played, a lot of 82 game seasons. So
he's had his fair share of injuries.
Almost 1,000 career games.
You'd like to think he's going to be good for 25 or 30. Does Kovalchuk, does he bring that 30 goals that they are paying him for a whole nother season, by the way?
I don't think he does. And again, but looking at the Kings lineup, where is their young talent? Let's see. Let's go back and let's just see if we can.
I would have said
Amadio,
Kempe, Austin Wagner can absolutely wheel out there.
But again, I just like they're not ready to take over that kid, from the veterans.
Carl Grundstrom, he looks sometimes like he has these flashes of like real talent, but I don't think he obviously hasn't played many games. He's probably one of those fringe guys in and out of the lineup. You'd like to see him kind of get a better chance maybe.
And looking at LA's lineup, they're a slow team. Some of their younger guys are pretty speedy, but looking at their guys that produce, they are a slower team. And as we know, speed's so important, because St. Louis is kind of, I think people think that they're like a slow team. They're pretty quick. They're a big team, and I don't know, you don't see the speed out of LA, and stuff. So. And
their goaltending is not good so far.
Yeah.
When Jack Campbell's got a higher save percentage than Jonathan Quick.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick 2-7, man. You'd like to think that he's going to finish with a better a better goals against and a save percentage than that. I mean, he's got a 440 goals against.
It's
that
just
is not.
Bottom line, it's too hard to buy the LA Kings.
Yeah, way too hard to buy.
They're just not going to get in. I mean, I feel pretty confident saying they're not going to make playoffs, and
And I mean that just about does it for our.
And again,
Pacific
they
division.
could. I'm not saying it's impossible, but
Yeah, and again, the Pacific Division is absolutely bizarro land.
so top 3 buys for me in order. I think my number 1 buy is Calgary. Number 2 is probably Edmonton. 3 is Vancouver, and then
Wild card. Your wild
my
card.
wild card is probably San Jose. I would say.
Oh gosh. So that's a soft buy from you
I'd
too.
probably say that above Arizona, but again, I mean, what do I know?
And mine, yeah. I mean, yeah. We're a couple idiots here. Mine is for sure Edmonton as the top buy. I think it was Calgary as the second buy. I had Arizona and San Jose as kind of the wild card soft buy. So, anyways, if there's anybody who has made it this far,
Thank you.
Yeah,
For sure.
You are a legend if you made it this far.
And yeah, feel free to disagree with us. Let us know.
Light us up in the comments, please. And thanks for listening.